Call the February 25th council meeting to order. Interim Chief Martin, will you give the invocation?
Dear Heavenly Father, as we gather here tonight, we thank you for our health and our ability to be here on this beautiful 75-degree sunny day. I ask, Father, that you would examine our hearts and fill us with wisdom so that the result of our efforts will bring glory to you and you alone. In Jesus' name I pray.
Amen. Chief Hawkins, will you lead us in the pledge?
Yes.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, call the roll.
Taylor.
Present.
Peterson.
Present.
West.
Here.
Lease. Present. Heckmaster.
Present.
Barlow.
Here.
Schramm.
Here.
I would now entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the February 11th council meeting.
I make a motion, we approve the minutes of the previous meeting.
Second. Got a motion and a second to approve the February 11th council meeting minutes. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. We'll now move on to public comments. Each person addressing the council shall state their name and address or organization represented and is limited to no more than 5 minutes. The time may be extended by the chair if deemed necessary. Once a person has had their say on a particular issue, they are not permitted to once again speak on the same issue unless called on to answer questions or further answer questions by the council or the chair.
Good evening, my name's Joel Terry. I live at 2219 Allison. I've missed attending several meetings, but I have been paying attention on YouTube. Now I came up with some questions. Imagine that, I have questions. Stoplights currently on River Street are handy for 30 minutes before school and 30 minutes after school. That's a total of 1 hour per day, 5 days per week, and about 40 weeks per year. That's 2.3% of the time. I think I remember the cost of the Fur and Garrison stoplight was estimated at $250,000. Now there's been a proposal to install yet another stoplight at the south end of River. So I'm going to give you a word picture here. Let's suppose for a moment that that stoplight is installed and working as designed. There are 4 cars traveling east on Fur, and a school bus needs to turn west on Fur. Okay? East-west light turns red, so those 4 cars stop, right? Well, that bus can't turn. Those cars are in the way. So they all sit there. And you have to wait for it to cycle through. Well, it finally cycles through. The 4 cars start going. Meanwhile, 4 more cars have piled up behind those first 4 cars. The light turns red again on them. So now the bus still wants to turn west, and he still can't go anywhere because those cars are in the way. Okay? That intersection is very poorly designed. A redesigned intersection would solve the issue, and a stoplight will make it worse, in my opinion. Another topic was bridges needing replaced. I've never claimed to be a financial guru, but I do know how to save money. Quit spending it on unnecessary items. The bridges on North Garrison are the city's responsibility, and their time is nearly up. I thought I heard they're going to be about $10 million apiece. The bridges over the railroad tracks are the railroad's responsibility, I do believe. We have 3 of those bridges that have been closed to traffic for a very long time, I'm guessing close to a decade. And Tickle Hill, some of you call it Wee Hill, is very near the end of its lifespan. Here's my question. When was the last time the city reached out to the railroad to get some action? Again, in my opinion, that should be happening at least monthly. Squeaky wheels get greased. Bathrooms at parks. Who would have dreamed that those bathrooms would be vandalized? We as a city have spent a great deal of money on Kellogg Lake Park. It looks good until you go over to the area by the dam. Water going over the dam would help the appeal tremendously. Again, I realize that's not the city's responsibility, it's DNR's. Another question, when was the last attempt to get DNR to remedy that situation? Thank you, I'm done.
Mr. Terry, I will answer your questions. I'll get a hold of you. There are logical explanations for every question that you've raised tonight.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and City Council. At least I don't come to you with a complaint tonight, at least not for tonight. I'm Ron Wells. I live at 2026 South Maple here in Carthage. I am running to represent Ward 5 and all the citizens of Carthage for City Council. I am aware of the responsibilities of this job brings, since I have served previously not only to my individual's ward, but also to the community as a whole. I'm running to see that we look at what benefits our citizens and my individual ward. Things I'm concerned about is the safety of not only our adult citizens, but our children as well on our streets within Carthage. We need to bring common sense back to our streets and communities here in Carthage. We just recently had a young man hit by an automobile while going home from work and was left on the side of the road. This alone concerns me greatly. I look forward to working with the council to make our streets safer. This is only a couple of my concerns. I will bring more as we get closer to the election. As you are ready to see if you are ready to see Carthage grow in the right direction, then I will do my best to represent my Ward 5 and all the community of Carthage. When and if elected, I plan to vote my conscience and what's right for the citizens of the ward and the citizens of Carthage, without any regard to friendship within the community or department heads. So what do I bring in leadership? Well, I served in the U.S. Army for over 20 years, and I retired as the first sergeant in 1993. After my discharge, I have worked and served in many positions here in Carthage. In Jasper, I served as the Jasper County Deputy, as a bailiff for Judge Williams. I also worked at the U.S. Post Office. Man, the paper don't want to come apart. I have been a business owner in Carthage. I ran the Four All Seasons Florist and Tanning Salon for several years. I worked as a department manager for one of the local stores in both the plumbing and electrical departments. I have an associate's degree with Crowder College in Neosho. I have lived in or around Carthage all my life, except for when I was in the military. Last but not least, I am a member of the Christ Community Church in Joplin. I would be pleased and thankful for your vote this coming April. Thank you for your time, Mr. Mayor and City Council. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Renee Minshew. I live at 1105 Jersey Street in Carthage. I am a lifelong Carthaginian. I'm here this evening on behalf of the Carthage Humane Society. I just wanted to bring the City Council and the Mayor an update on the things that we have been doing at the shelter since the first of the year. In January and February, we had some terrible weather, so we adjusted our intake schedule, and we did take in animals during those times to get them off the streets before those storms hit. In the month of January, we took in 12 cats, 37 dogs. 4 of those cats came from the ACO, 4 of the dogs came from the ACO. We adopted 20 animals in January, 7 cats, 13 dogs. Our total number of animals in the shelter at the end of January was 83. To date, for the month of February, we have taken in 3 cats and 24 dogs, again due to the harsh weather conditions. None of those came from ACO, but I understand we're going to get a couple tomorrow. We adopted 10 animals in February. February is not a great month for an animal shelter. What we have been doing is some of the things we've been doing. We've been selling calendars to raise money for our shelter. We had someone that designed it. It's an original design. They were printed for us and for free. We get 100% profit off of every calendar sold, and they're absolutely adorable. They feature our fur babies from the shelter. On Sunday, January 26th, we had a Love Your Pet Day. We did low-cost microchips and nail trims, as well as clay paw prints. In February, we sold Valentine t-shirts that say, "My Valentine has paws." We also did fur baby Valentines that we sold for the animals to raise money. And Saturday, February 15th, there was a benefit at Guardian Manger where they donated 15% of their sales for that day to the shelter. March 1st through 17th will be our shelter shamrock sales. We do that every year. We sell small shamrocks for $1. They're in lots of businesses around town. So if you see those on March 1st to 17th, please pick one up. They're only $1. March 29th will be a benefit barrel race for Carthage Humane Society. It will be at the Civil War Arena. They have lots of activities planned for that day, so if you're free, please go out and enjoy that. On Saturday, April 26th, will be our 2nd annual Pickleball for Paws, and that's at Greg's Park, starting at 8 a.m. We would love for you to attend that also if you're able. So that takes us through the first quarter of 2025 and what we're doing to raise funds for the shelter. Thank you all so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Minshew. We have our meeting scheduled for Thursday morning, correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Good evening, Your Honor and City Council. I am here to tell you that I am running for City Council in Ward 1 because I would like to be a part of this wonderful group that is doing everything they can to do the best for Carthage. I'm a little nervous, can you tell? Some of the goals that I would like to see done is help for the Humane Society, physical responsibility, and everything that we can do to make Carthage a more inviting place, to draw more people to come live here rather than go somewhere else, to choose us instead of choosing Joplin, to choose us instead of Webb City, because we really are the best that they can find if they just look at us. I appreciate everything all of you have done, and I hope to join your ranks and to help move us even further into the future. I hope I said everything I wanted to. I'm sorry. I get nervous when I do this kind of thing. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, I forgot to tell you where I live. You let me get away with that. I live at 100 East 4th Street, right on the corner over there. I have sold that building, but I will still be living within Ward 1. I already have a place to live, and I will be moving to that apartment on April the 15th. So I will still be over there when the election happens. So, thank you.
My name's Bill Shear. I live at 422 East 13th Street. I've been noticing a lot of stuff on social media that's kind of bothering me. When you all have a closed session, are you supposed to go home and talk about what happened?
No, sir.
Okay, it is put out 72 hours later, right? The minutes of the
Depending
closed
on
session.
what the issue is, the closed session minutes will
Well,
come
there's
out.
members on this council that family members are posting online shortly after a closed meeting. I sent Tracy Cox a copy of the email. And, you know, somebody's leaking closed meeting stuff. And shouldn't be happening. So I think you even got a copy of that email, if I'm not mistaken. So, you know, something needs to be done. Somebody needs to be held accountable for it. And there's other things on social media from like ex-council members cutting Miss Leach down, cutting Mr. Taylor down because they don't agree with a lot of stuff. I say this side of the room, there's one over there too. I mean, that's not right either. You know, they were calling for let's all get together and unite. That's not uniting anybody, cutting down council members and saying they're the problem. So this whole council has been a problem. If you want to, these two over here, Miss Leach and Mr. Taylor, all they've ever asked for through this whole thing was common sense. Let's talk about it. Why are we doing this? And they've both been put down. So, you know, if you're not all going to work together, then we need to make some changes. And what they've done, there's nothing wrong with what they've done. And I don't blame Miss Leach for not wanting to go into closed session. So, you know, that's up to them. Apparently you don't talk about much, but all I know what you talk about is what I read from a certain council member's sister. Thank you. She knows the shit.
Good evening. My name is Ed Hardesty. I live at 615 Euclid. I see tonight's agenda, Council Bill 2506. It's an ordinance authorizing and adopting provisions for collective bargaining for the law enforcement personnel. I'd like to speak in favor of that. I think it's a great idea that some employees will have a feeling of confidence in their local government and their employment instead of being hunted and targeted due to personal agendas. I think the animosity and the ridiculousness needs to stop. We need to get back to being respectful, the way this town used to be, not the way it's become. Let's treat each other with respect. Let's not yell and scream at each other in closed sessions. Let's make sure that closed sessions stay closed. Let's take care of our employees and make them comfortable to work here. Not look around for other jobs. Not be on the hot seat and worried about who's looking over their shoulders. Stop the animosity and stop the personal agendas. Let's go back to what somebody said, common sense and civility, please. People are sick of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Now move on to reports of standing committees, Budget Ways and Means, Chairperson Heckmaster.
The Budget Ways and Means Committee is in between meetings. Our next meeting is Monday, March 17th at 5:30 p.m. here in council chambers.
Thank you. Committee on Insurance Audit and Claims, Chairperson Schramm.
The Committee on Insurance Audit and Claims met this evening, and we are moving forward the claims for the city for $3,144,386.95. Some of the call outs on that was our regular waste service from Republic for $158,191.17. Zanovan Engineering for $40,926.72. A scoreboard for Fair Acres for $17,376.55. And Jasco Tree Service for $11,500, and that was a part of a grant. Our next meeting will be March 11th.
Thank you. Public Safety Committee, Chairperson Heckmaster.
The Public Safety Committee met here in council chambers at 5:30 last night. Police Chief Bill Hawkins advised the committee regarding changes to the provisions for collective bargaining with law enforcement personnel ordinance. The minor changes to one section in the document provides clarity and avoids the division of loyalties and conflict of interest. Now the command staff, including lieutenants, captains, and assistant chief of police, and the chief of police. The committee voted unanimously in favor of advancing this revised agreement. The first reading of Council Bill 2506 will be read this evening. Chief Hawkins also presented a council bill that encompasses annual discharge of fireworks. Further research was desired by the committee. It's planned that we will revisit this in the next meeting. Tonight, I will move to table what was on the agenda regarding this bill. Interim Fire Chief Jason Martin provided information to replace a 1998 ladder truck. This truck is expensive to maintain, and in some cases, replacement parts are not available. In 2011, a fire department fleet replacement plan was presented to the Public Safety Committee and Budget Ways and Means Committee. As part of the fleet replacement plan, it was suggested that the ladder truck be replaced every 25 years. The proposal was to replace the 1998 ladder truck with a 2025 or newer custom chassis ladder truck to operate as the first due ladder. $1.5 million was previously projected towards this capital project for the 2026-2027 year. Interim Chief Martin found a truck that, while red, could receive a vinyl wrap with Carthage's preferred colors. Adding to the cost of the wrap, tools, ground equipment, and hose, the total cost would be $1,373,000, which saves $127,000 from the budgeted amount. As we cannot purchase this until the 2026-2027 fiscal year, the committee unanimously voted for Chief Martin to contact the wrap company to determine the longevity of the vinyl wrap, and also the fire truck vendor, Bander Fire Equipment, to identify if they would accept an intent to purchase agreement. So stay tuned. Interim Chief Martin presented a 6-page typed document filled with 2026 and 2027 capital requests. The proposal included additional personnel as well as replacement of equipment. Thank you, Jason, for this detailed and well-documented outline. Next, Chief Hawkins presented capital requests for the 2026-2027 fiscal year. The presentation included additional officers, replacement of police cars, and equipment for those cars. All of these proposals will be discussed in our upcoming budgeting council, department head, and city staff work session, which is scheduled for March 5th. The next meeting of the Public Safety Committee is scheduled to begin at 5:30 p.m. Monday, March 17th, here in council chambers. That concludes my report, Your Honor.
Thank you. Public Service Committee, Chairman Barlow.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We are between meetings. The rescheduled meeting is for this Thursday, 5:30, council chambers.
Thank you. Public Works Committee, Chairman
We are
Chairman
between
Taylor.
meetings at this time. Our next meeting will be the first Tuesday of March, and there are several things that will be on the docket for that evening, so.
Okay, thank you. Reports, special committees, and board liaisons.
I was at the Jasper County Commissioners meeting this morning. There were a few announcements. One was exciting about the elevator should be operating tomorrow. It should be fixed. And absentee voting began today. With the last 2 weeks before the election, there's no excuse needed at that time. The election is to be held on April 9th, and the final day to register to vote is March 12th. Here in the city, we have the mayor's office open, and 6 council seats are up for election. Stay informed and don't hesitate to ask questions. Senior property tax freeze forms are available at the Jasper County Collector's Office in the northwest corner of the Carthage Courthouse. They look like this. Just go in and ask for one. This will freeze your property tax to this last year 2024 rate. This is available for citizens or property owners in Jasper County 62 years or older. Some friends of mine did this. They said they went and picked up their form, and then they went over together to the county, the records office, and got their certification on their deed, and then brought it back. So they're having their taxes frozen at the 2024 rate, which means on some of these election items, I believe that if you have your taxes frozen at the 2024 rate, that when we would approve new property tax for the election on different things on the ballot, you would still be at the 2024 rate and not have that increase. So it's important that you do that. Today, I also met with Sally Stewart and Kate Kelly from Vision Carthage. The recent fundraiser Saturday night was well attended and a big success due in large to the items they had for the live auction. Their next event is a new one for them. It's called Evening Soiree in the Park. It will be held June 28th at Central Park and will feature the citizens that win the Carthage and Bloom Awards. So there's an official ceremony for that, and it sounds exciting. Their Vision Carthage fundraising goal is to give strength to strength, not need, focusing on long-term sustainability rather than one-time needs. Their first project under the new leadership will focus on the entrances to the town and cleanup efforts. On April 26th, they'll collaborate with the Carthage Chamber Earth Day and the Carthage Police Department and CWP to kick off the planting season. The hanging planters, I learned today, were started, the plants are started at the Carthage Technical Center. So when they come out, they're already big and nice to go in the area. So that's a nice work together that they do. With the sidewalk projects underway, these planters that are usually around the square will be placed in other locations this season. And they did point out that we need a lot of communication on what areas of the sidewalks will be torn up to be rebuilt at the time, so that the business owners around the square can communicate to their customers and find a workaround to that. Vision Carthage is also working on restoration projects in partnership with local agencies such as Art Central and the MU Extension Office, and they talked about some exciting classes they'll offer to the community, such as how to properly paint and planting and maybe butterfly gardens, things like that, to beautify our town. It sounded very, it sounded like they're trying to make the town as beautiful as it can be, and they're both excited about this. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Ms. Lees?
Carthage Water and Electric Board met on the 20th at 3 p.m. and they approved disbursements in the amount of $4,245,966.02. The financials were presented to the board, noting that their operating expenses were under budget for the month and year to date, and the combined operating revenues exceeded budget for the month, but they're still running just a little short of budget year to date. But, and it just, Dogwood, I know that they talked about a year ago, is doing very well for them, so that was very exciting. It was mentioned at the last couple of meetings. They also looked at and approved buying a block of Internet Protocol version IPv4 addresses, and they were approved in the amount of $67,584. They received 2 different bids for this, but they took the IPv4 market because it's more secure. It was more thoroughly vetted, so they had better security on those. They also considered and approved grit chamber upgrade project at the wastewater treatment plant in the amount of $163,903.11. That includes all labor and materials. It will also replace the grid augers and the electrical panels. The construction work will be with DeBry Construction. And then they just did their staff reports and let everyone know they're going to be working ahead on the budget and trying to. The one thing they're doing is integrating truck times with their payroll. So for better record keeping and things, it'll help everybody involved. And everyone's really excited about it. They've been testing it to see if it would work. They have a lot of events coming up. They ask for everyone to watch for those. They'll have the Customer Academy coming up and the Tower to Tower Run. And then also, Mr. Bryant mentioned that he will be sending out a letter to the council, and some of you may have already received it. I think we did. I got mine. Regarding financial questions that have been asked in the community about, surplus money and things. And they did a fantastic job with this letter and putting it out, explaining exactly what the funds go for and why they have to have the reserves. And I thought it was interesting that they were talking about the transformer that they had replaced, what they do with the transformers. It's pretty detailed and pretty amazing, but they actually reuse them, but they send them to be refurbished, but the price is still, it's enormous. So, but it's very interesting to learn about that. And then they also had a great success with their strategic planning meeting that they went to Columbia, and they're going to begin work on their action plans in March. And then they're going to have a budget board meeting on Wednesday, April 16th at 1. And then the next regular board meeting will be Thursday, March 20th at 3 p.m. That's all.
Thank you. Mr. Peterson.
On behalf of the Kellogg Lake Board, due to the abnormalities with the weather, unfortunately the February meeting was unable to be held due to lack of quorum, but we will be meeting again March 13th. That's a Thursday at 6 p.m. at the Ulmer Funeral Home. And that's all.
Thank you. Anyone else? So for my report tonight, first thing I would like to do is thank all of city staff in dealing with the snowmageddon that we had last week. I know we had City Hall closed for one day, and or was it 2 days? We had a holiday and 2 snow days, so it seemed like a long time. But also the street department and those guys working long hours and getting out, putting down salt and ash and plowing the roads and getting things opened back up. So I wanted to thank them for that. Mr. Carney's not here tonight, but I wanted to wish him a happy birthday. Yesterday was his birthday, so I wanted to do that. And also, I wanted to, I met with the police department with a representative from the Fraternal Order of Police for the Carthage Police Department. And our officers at this time do not have any intent to enter into a collective bargaining agreement. We asked them, what do you want that we aren't currently providing for you? And they said, we're very happy with salaries and wages and things like that. But there were a couple of things, and I have started working with Ms. Cox to get an ordinance passed that we talked about. One of the things that they said that a lot of collective bargaining agreements in the state of Missouri have is a clause for if an officer is killed in the line of duty, that their family can remain on their city insurance. And so Ms. Cox and I have talked, and we're going to do an ordinance not only for the police department, but the fire department, and also any other city employee that is killed in the line of service to the city. Another item that they said was in a lot of collective bargaining agreements in the state of Missouri is a life balance, a family life balance clause that says that they have to have 1 week's notice prior to a shift change. Again, we're going to have that in an ordinance, and there will be no reason for a collective bargaining agreement. And the last thing was a minimum staffing allotment, which we are already meeting the minimum staffing allotment for our officers here in Carthage, but we will put that in the ordinance also so that it's all covered. Those are the main things that they said that a lot of departments that have these collective bargaining agreements have those things. They also said, that the Fraternal Order of Police isn't just it's also a fraternal organization. That's a benevolent organization that they do charities and things like that they want to be a part of. Fraternal Order of Police has donated to some fundraisers that they've had, even though the Carthage Police Department is not a member. So I just wanted to bring everyone up to date that it's really not collective bargaining. This isn't any type of a contract with the police department, but we're recognizing the Fraternal Order of Police, and we will allow the police officers to have funds from their payroll automatically deducted and sent to the Fraternal Order of Police. Other than that, we've been working. I've been meeting with a lot of different people. I do have a meeting scheduled for Thursday with the Humane Society, Thursday morning. So that's all I have for my report this week. Next, reports of council members. Mr. Taylor?
I have nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Mr. Peterson?
Appreciate the work, as you mentioned, Mayor, of all involved in our city snowmageddon, as you mentioned, and appreciate our Public Works Department. Thanks.
Mr. West?
I want to thank the public for their comments. I appreciate that information, and it's useful, and just take it to heart, and I appreciate it.
Ms. Lees?
Also wanted to echo your thanks for the city for the cleanup and things that happened. But also, I was thinking, we've had several big fires in the community just in the last couple of weeks, and thankful to our fire department and also to our police department, who handled a situation, unfortunately, that I could see from my living room, which I did not witness the actual incident, but it was a really unique thing to get to watch from my living room window. I never had to get in the scene, but how they handled the shooting that had happened. And it was truly just the calmness. They knocked on our door at 3:30. We're very respectful. Anything that we could give them, they got. They were very, very thorough in searching with the neighbors. And then the next day, somebody was there overnight. And then the next day, I got to see something I've only seen on TV, where they do the grid walking, where they're spaced about apart. I guess that's what you call it, spaced apart. But it was just a really phenomenal thing to witness. Unfortunately, I hate that happened. And I'd like to remember all the families involved in prayer for that. But I wanted to say thank you for all of our departments for all the work that you're doing right now. It's some tough times.
Thank you. Ms.
I would
Hackmaster?
echo Ms. Lisa's comments. I also would like to commend Chris Haddock from Carthage Police Department. He was in a wreck, not his fault, during the recent Snowmageddon. And the car took a real beating. Chris went and received care, but opted to come back to work, complete his shift. So here we have a gentleman that was employed by the city that could have gone home. He could have said, hey, I'm out of here. But instead, he chose to serve the city and our residents, and I think that's a pretty awesome thing. So please pass on our thanks.
Mr. Barlow?
Happened to see one of the 2 new officers. I concur with your positive comments about being able to swear them in here in that setting. That was very good and touching. And I haven't seen Officer Creaky in action, but Officer Wagner recognized him at a 4-way stop. And and then with the accident, and that's not me trying to assign blame or anything, but my understanding is the officer in the accident had his lights on, was in pursuit, or the lights and siren, and there's just inherent danger. The firefighters in incredible conditions, impossible conditions, having to put their lives on the line. I just once again want to thank all of our first responders and offer our prayers. Yes, absolutely. None of us those of us who haven't put those shoes on and put those uniforms on can fully appreciate, but a lot of us like me, we try to appreciate and are very grateful for what the men and women do and the fact that they put their lives on every day, and we pray that they come home every day. Grateful, very grateful.
Thank you. Ms. Schramm?
Just today, I had a citizen call me about dogs running loose, and they had contacted the animal control officer, and he did exactly what he was supposed to do, but the dogs were still running around. So Chief Hawkins handled it personally, and the Humane Society is making room for those dogs, even though they seem to be nice dogs. They're running free in the community and scaring some citizens. So I appreciate you quickly working with that and making the citizen very happy and our streets safe. So thank you.
Yeah. So I did have one other thing that I just thought about. The sidewalk project on the square, the crew came in yesterday and they are in town. Their plan is to be done in 120 days. That's the goal. But the plan is to not interrupt any business. So they're starting out, they're gonna go along the north side of the square. They're starting by cutting the sidewalk, the existing sidewalk, so that they can go in and tear out and replace and tear out and replace versus ripping it all out and then putting it all back. So I just wanted to make everyone aware that that crew did come into town yesterday. So if you see them working around the square, they were starting on this corner over here, and they should be working. They have assured us that they would try to do pours even after 5 so that they could do the pours in the evenings so that they wouldn't interrupt the businesses any more than they have to. But that will be a nice project once it's complete to have new sidewalks around the square. So that's all I had. Now, miscellaneous reports, Officer of the City, Chief Hawkins.
Thank you, everyone, for the, thank you too. Thank you, everyone, for the kind words. I would just like to add one thing about the incident that you spoke about, Lori. The suspect in that, not only after the shooting, fled the scene to a neighboring state, Kansas, and in less than 12 hours, we had that gentleman in custody. A lot of good old-fashioned police work. The staff worked really hard, and again, thank you for all the kind words. Most everything else I was going to talk about, I think, has either been covered by Ms. Heckmaster or you, so I think I'm just going to pass it on to Jason.
Thank you. Chief Martin?
I would also echo Chief Hawkins and thank you. I know he feels the way I do, that it's a blessing to get to do these jobs, and everyone that works for us in both the fire and police, that's kind of what they live for, is moments where they get to perform. It's our Super Bowl whenever we have weather or fires like we've had for the last couple of weeks. Been working on budget stuff, but we have had a lot of calls in the last 2 weeks. We had a young man, a new hire, start. His first 24-hour shift was yesterday, and in the first 24 hours he had a fatality vehicle accident, a structure fire, a school bus accident, and it was a really busy first day for him, and the guys on his crew were like, I hope he's not a black cloud that this is going to happen all the time. But there's days where you earn more than, or you out-earn your pay, and there's days where you watch the walls. But we enjoy this time of year when we are busy. So I believe it. Mr. Carney's not here to give the weather report for me, so I'll say it still looks good going forward this week.
Well, you might want to just mention the other night, the fire, when it was below zero and the ice.
I would like to address that. There was a news article about that fire and that mentioned equipment failures, and I would point out that the equipment failures were not it wasn't any Carthage equipment. We do get mutual aid when we're out in the county. I believe if we would have been on Carthage water through a hydrant, we would have been able to put the fire out. But when you have to haul water to the scene and you're 1,000 gallons at a time, the pumps run 1,000 gallons a minute when you have 3 open hand lines. So we had about 4 minutes worth of work, and we were waiting on water, and the incoming units, they're traveling in that extreme cold, their pumps were frozen and we couldn't get any water from them. So that was pretty disheartening to the guys to have to watch a house burn that they felt like they could have put out. But I'm not disparaging any of our mutual aid companies. We so appreciate their effort in helping us, and we try to reciprocate that as often as possible. But I didn't want any confusion about the equipment failure in the public.
Thank you.
And that is all.
Ms. Cox?
Well, I think most of the council members have stole all of my thunder this evening, so I will add, though, on the downtown sidewalk project, the estimated completion time. Their goal is to have the project done by June 30th, so they don't have to carry the project over into the next fiscal year. We did have a $1 million CD that came due. We did get bids on the CDs. We will be moving that CD from Community National Bank to Guarantee Bank. I'd also like to thank Renee for updating the council on the fundraising projects for the Humane Society. And I will say I have learned a lot from Renee in the meetings that I've attended with her, and I'm looking forward to meeting her tomorrow, actually. I will be touring the Humane Society and getting more education on that. So I do look forward to working together with the Humane Society. Approximately, it's hard to believe, but it's probably been almost 2 years, and we had formed a committee that was going to review some of the ordinances that needed to be updated. And there was a meeting between council members and Water and Electric and discussed, even there's some easy council bills that need to be updated, like the financial reporting is an obvious one. The ordinance says that it's supposed to be submitted on a piece of paper. Basically, it's not even current. Doesn't have anything to do with accounting standards or reports that are generated by software. But one thing that the Water and Electric discussed the other day at their meeting was extending the term for the board from 4 years to 6 years. And they stressed that, understanding public utilities, it's not easy. It's a very challenging, time-intensive, process. So that's one thing that they have requested that we look into. And, if we extend the board terms from 4 to 6 years, then the board members have more time to develop, a good understanding of how the utility works. And, the operations, the financial management, the budget, there's been a lot of discussion within the city even about how their budget differs from our budget. So the board members have to have an understanding of how that budget works, and a longer tenure will ensure that they can apply that knowledge once they gain it, apply it effectively and help provide stability and continuing with the services that they provide very efficiently. So those are two ordinances that Mr. Gold is currently working on to change. So that will be going to a committee soon. And that's all I have tonight.
Wait, tourism board tomorrow, our first tourism?
Oh, the tourism board has their first meeting tomorrow at 10 a.m.
Thank you. Mr. Gold, anything tonight?
Nothing tonight.
Now I have a report of the Claims Committee.
The Committee on Claims filed a report in the amount of $3,144,386.95.
I move that we approve the February 25th claims report as presented.
And I second.
Got a motion and a second to accept the claims. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Now move on to old business.
The second reading of Council Bill 2507, an ordinance waiving the buyback option stated in corporation warranty deed recorded with the Jasper County Recorder's Office in Book 2670 on page 149 on January 19th, 2023 for all of lot number 2, block number 3 in Myers Park subdivision, plat number 4 in the city of Carthage, Missouri.
Any discussion?
Yes, could you do a brief explanation for people at home and citizens here tonight on that?
Sure. So this is some property in Myers Park that we had sold to an individual, and the council at the time wanted to put a clause in there that if they were purchasing the property, we wanted to see them start construction within a certain amount of time, or the city would buy the property back. The individual is trying to secure funding through financial sources, and the financial sources want that clause out of their agreement. So that is, go ahead.
I'd like to add that the individual actually paid full price for that property. The clause that was included in this council bill and in this ordinance was actually intended for those individuals where we kind of worked out a deal and they had paid less for the property. So it was actually a mistake that was included in that ordinance.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Cast your votes. Council bill passes.
The second reading of Council Bill 2508, an ordinance amending the annual operating and capital budget of the city of Carthage for fiscal year 2024-2025 for specified funds, general fund, use tax fund, and public facilities bond fund.
Any discussion?
Your Honor, I did have one, just for clarification. As we look in section 2 of this proposed ordinance here, out of the use tax fund, $15,000 to the parks capital outlay for design plans. Is that something that can be disclosed, or what are those design plans? Just out of curiosity.
Ms. Cox, would you like to?
That was an action taken in closed session.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Cast your votes. Council bill passes. Now new business.
The first reading of Council Bill 2506, an ordinance authorizing and adopting provisions for collective bargaining with law enforcement personnel.
Any discussion?
We're on the collective bargaining. Oh, that's right. Sorry,
Okay.
never mind.
No, this,
First reading of Council Bill 2509, an ordinance to amend Chapter 10, Article 1, Section 10-4 of the Carthage City Code to add Lunar New Year as an exception to Section 10-3.
any discussion?
I believe that this needs to be tabled due to the research that needs to be conducted. So it would likely go back to committee in our March meeting.
Okay, so would you like to make a motion to table it?
I would like to make a motion to table. Yes, Your Honor.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to table Council Bill 2509. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Council bill's tabled. Closing comments, Mr. Barlow. Ms. Schramm.
Yes, I'd like to make a closing comment. I believe that the citizen who spoke, Mr. Scheer, was addressing me as you spoke, and I want to go on the record to say you are 100% incorrect in what you're saying. What I learn in closed session stays with me. I take that oath very seriously. When I release something, I ask the city, the mayor, what they've released and what is proper to do so. So your speculation, for the record, is 100% incorrect. And no, it's not your turn to speak. You had your turn. And also, I would like to correct something, because in not addressing a rumor, you make people think that it's true. So there's some defamatory marks going out online, and I'm giving notice to Mr. Hardesty. If you say this one more time, I will seek legal action against you. It is a lie, and I will not put up with it from you or your fake accounts online. So for the record, it is a lie. Thank you.
Mr. Taylor.
I have no closing comments tonight, Your Honor. Thank you.
Mr.
Nothing
Peterson.
further, Your Honor.
Mr. West.
Nothing, thank you.
Ms. Lees.
Nothing, thank you.
Ms. Heckmaster.
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
I would entertain a motion to go into closed session for discussion on legal actions, cause of action, or litigation involving public governmental body for its representatives and attorneys.
I move that we go into closed session.
Does she need to read the
Second.
exact?
Do you need to read?
Do I need to read it?
You need to read it.
Oh, what I just read? Okay,
He read it, that's fine.
okay. The motion to go into closed session to discuss hiring, firing, disciplining, or promoting of particular employees.
Second.
We didn't get a second
Oh.
on the first one,
A second? I second that
Yeah,
motion.
Janet
Yes.
seconded the first one.
and then we'll vote.
Okay, so we'll vote on the first one. Cast
Oh, I
your
should
votes.
read them.
Motion passes. I also like to make a motion to go into closed session to discuss hiring, firing, disciplining, or promoting of particular employees.
I make a motion that we go into a second closed session.
Is that the one is that the
This
second-
is the second one.
Second one, okay.
Yes.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to go in closed session. Cast your votes.
Jen.
I did.
Did you vote yes?
Yes.
Motion passes. We're in closed session.
Here.
Terry,
Present.
Tom,
Here.
Jana.
Here.
I make a motion, we adjourn from open session.
Second.
Motion is second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We're adjourned.
Sorry about that. In the morning, I forgot.